part is show up for yourself, because if you don't show up for yourself, who will?
Looking for more conversations that matter? INCRadio Chatline, Fridays at 8 p.m. Pacific or 11 p.m. Eastern at INCRadio DZEM 954 on YouTube.
This is INCRadio DZEM 954, the voice of truth, the official radio station of the Church of Christ, or Iglesianicristo.
Good afternoon, good evening to all of you viewers who are tuned in with us. We are delighted to have you on here. I am Sister Valerie Joy Ali, coming to you from Florida in the central area here. We're excited to dive into a topic here and to provide you some insight on the sunshine state of mind here. So I am excited to also introduce to you some of our hosts who are joining with us today. I'm going to toss it over to our west side of Florida. Sister Audrey, tell us a little bit of how the weather's treating you over there.
Hello, good morning, Sister Joy, and good morning to everyone joining us on INCRadio Florida this morning. It's a little chillier here than usual, Sister Joy. I don't know how it is over there in the central part of Florida, but here in the Gulf Coast of Florida, I complain about the heat a lot, but it's definitely swinging on the other side of the spectrum. I don't know, is that the same with you?
Oh, absolutely. It is definitely on the other side for sure. It is not so much the Florida weather that we're used to. So that's something that we're pretty, I'm actually excited to really talk about, because this is the side of the Sunshine State that many of our viewers are not maybe very familiar with. Or if you're just visiting here, or if you're new here to the state, this is going to be a pretty interesting topic. So really excited to talk
agreed.
about that.
And especially because Florida is such a huge state, right?
Yes.
So, I mean, for our brethren out there in Jacksonville, on the Panhandle there in Pensacola, even further down towards our area in the central or the western side of Florida, it could vary drastically. But nonetheless, we are so excited for you all to join us on INCRadio Florida this morning. Welcome, benvenuto, ciao, hello. Hello. Hi to everyone joining us on INCRadio. We're just so excited for you to join us to bring in some of the warmth to this cooler than normal day. And so to kind of transition us into our topic today, I'm going to toss it over to Brother Robert, my neighbor over there here in Tampa, Florida. Good morning.
Hey, good morning, Sister Audrey and Sister Joy. I'm going to have you guys guess what today's topic is, because, I
Look at
wasn't
you.
exactly sure, because, down here am I in Florida?
You look like you're in Florida today, for sure.
We are going to be talking about how Florida actually feels maybe today, because today's topic is about how to survive a winter here in Florida. And although we don't get this very often, if I have at least an opportunity to put on these clothes, I will. And it certainly has felt like that for these last couple of days, because it's been chilly. We're used to it being in the 80s down here, and here in Florida this past couple of weeks, we've been down into the 40s. I think here, actually, where I live in North Tampa,
Even
we've been
in Central,
the upper 30s. It was 38 degrees at one point last week, and we all hibernated. But I can't really hear you guys wearing earmuffs. That's probably why we don't wear them very often down here. But now we'll do the wardrobe change as we get back into what the real Florida weather is like. But today we're going to be talking about how to survive a winter here in Florida, because we know that Florida is accustomed to really experiencing much, much warmer weathers. But we do, much to the surprise of a lot of tourists who come here around this time, have cooler temperatures. In fact, I was watching the news the other day, and they were traveling here from Minnesota and came down to Florida. They were going to go visit Orlando and visit the beaches, and they were slightly disappointed when they found out that if the only thing they'd packed were bathing suits, then they were sorely underdressed, because they were met with 45-degree temperatures when they got off the plane. So Fortunately, we do have a lot of stores here that sell winter gear, or winter clothing, if you will. But what we're going to be talking about today is how to survive a Florida winter, and there's some real uniquenesses
Oh yeah,
about living in Florida, right? I mean, I'm fortunate actually because you, Sister Joy, are a native, one of the few
I am.
native
I
Floridians
am.
born and raised here. I know
Mhm.
Sister Audrey, you've lived here actually the majority of your life. You were here as a young child, and have obviously been here all your life since then. So let's start with like the typical way that the weather fluctuates here in Florida, because that's one of the things that I think is really unique. We do have winter, right? We do have a winter, and that winter comes with 30 plus degree temperatures and 40 plus degree temperatures. But I think what makes it unique is it doesn't necessarily stay that way all day. There's kind of this what we
Yeah.
call weather whiplash. Can you tell us a little bit about how that works, Sister Joy?
Whether whiplash, I think there's no better way to explain it than I was talking to a fellow native Floridian, and we're like, there's no other place that you can experience all these seasons in one day. That's what the whiplash is, right? I mean, in the morning, especially during this season, you get like sometimes we'll get in the 50s, right, in the morning, and then it kind of transitions into the 60s. And then so then if you're working and then you're indoors, especially if you work indoors and then you walk outside, you're layered up, you walk outside and all of a sudden it's like 75 degrees outside. And so it's like, wait a minute. Okay, well, it's okay. I'm prepared. I just gotta take off some layers here. Let me take off my scarf and my mittens. That's typical Florida, Floridian for you right there, right? We were dressed in layers and prepared, and then here comes the midday weather change right there.
What's typically the coldest time here for tourists who are going to be coming down here? And we know that the temperatures will fluctuate. Um, Ironically, a lot of people think that it's like in the middle of the evening, like at night, is when it's the coldest. And I was looking at the weather temperature
Mhm.
gauges that they've got for the daily, hourly
Oh
weather
yes. Hmm.
gauges, and I was shocked that the coldest times here, when the temperatures actually drop the lowest, is just before sunrise.
Hmm.
I believe that. I believe that.
Is that right, Sister Audrey?
Yeah,
Like,
first thing in the morning, especially for all of our work bees that are going into work before 7 or 7:30, 8
Mm.
a.m., we are wearing our heavy coats. And then come noontime when we're going out for lunch, we got to get down to our t-shirts again.
Yes. Yes.
so yes, there is hope for you tourists that are coming down here. That if if you guys are coming down here, there is hope, because even though it may be really really chilly in the morning,
Mhm.
just understand that by the mid afternoon,
Yes.
temperatures will start to go up, and usually that coldest time, though, as Sister Audrey mentioned, is like right before sunrise. So that's if it's going to be like in the upper 30s, lower 40s during the winter, that's probably the time you're going to see it. Is right around that time, right before sunrise, around right now about 7 o'clock in the morning.
There you go. And then you get the most beautiful sunshine during that time of day. So you see,
Mhm.
it just works out. It's just perfect. That's why we
Yeah.
are the sunshine state for sure.
Yeah, even when it is cold, you
Yes,
still got the sun to look out, which is what kind of fools you, because then you walk outside thinking, "Oh, I can just wear a
absolutely.
t-shirt," and then realize there's this cold blast of air, and the majority of that's because we get that wind that comes down, right? So
Oh
if you're
yeah.
looking at a weather map, anytime you see sort of that Arctic wind that's up north, and
Hmm.
the way that it flows down, and it's kind of blowing towards the west coast of Florida. That's usually when we can see that it's going to be colder. Here in Florida, if the wind is coming in from the west to headed towards the east, that's usually the warmer winds, because those are coming off of the Gulf of Mexico,
Hmm.
right? But then if the wind is coming from the east and heading towards the west, that's typically your colder weather. So whenever we see winds coming from our friends over there in on the east coast, we're not too happy. That's when it's cold.
You see, you got the
And then,
best of both worlds.
but one of the big things, though, we another thing that the companies winter in Florida, tourists, right?
Oh,
This
that's
is
true.
this is
That's
this
true.
is when that tourist invasion starts to happen, and and I'm not gonna lie, that's what brought me here, right? We were tourists for
Hey.
many years, so yes,
Mhm.
I'm part of the problem. I will. I will, for all of you native Floridians, I'm openly admitting I'm part of the problem. We came
Well,
down
we
here
welcome you. We welcome you. So,
every year. We used to come down to Florida because we lived up in Atlanta, and it was a short drive. It's about 7 hours to get down here from there into Central Florida, and you fall in love with the weather. And
there you go.
like a lot of people say, living in Florida is like living where the rest of the world vacations.
Hey,
Like
it is.
it's like
It
being in vacation every day, including all of that bumper to bumper traffic.
well, and minus that maybe, yeah, the
Yeah,
20.
yeah. So all of that tourist traffic. But I think for theme parks, especially for you, Sister Joy, considering being in Orlando, I've always, this was a little hack that I used to have is we would come down right around like the holidays, like the Turkey Thanksgiving period,
Mhm.
because you would think that would be when the parks would be like just overwhelmed. And we found that many of them, especially if you go there like the day of that Turkey Thanksgiving or the day of Black Friday when the rest of the world is shopping, parks are
Mhm.
generally less crowded. So that is a winter plus, right? You go down there. And ironically, the hotel rates haven't gone up yet because the hotel rates go up in
Yeah,
December.
that's true. Right there
That's
in that New
peak.
Year time.
That's
Mhm.
peak. So if you're
Right.
coming for the December months, then yeah, you're going to be paying more. But if you look at your hotel rates in November, November hotel rates are still off peak. So you
Yeah,
can save some good money coming
agreed.
down there. So that's your hack
That
this
is a
morning.
very good time
Yeah,
to come, November.
yeah.
Even
And the
early
weather.
November,
Yeah,
that's a
and the
great time.
weather's not crazy yet. It's in like the 50s and the 60s, so it's still pretty. I think it's still pretty mild by comparison. Now for us
You said in the
Floridians,
50s or 60s, okay? Like, as a native Floridian, to me, I'm like, when you say 50s, 60s, I'm like, "Wait a minute,
I
where's my winter coat?"
I was going to ask you. I was going to ask both of you, okay? Because I know both of you have got both your share of winter and your summer Florida wardrobes. What does the temperature have to be for you to grab your winter coat?
Oh, 50s. As soon as it makes
50s.
yes, you can wear your puffer when it's 60s because a puffer can range with insulation, right? You can have like your thinner puffers or like a puffer vest, but once it gets below 60, you have every excuse to take out that trench or that thick wool coat because it's valid.
That is
What
so
about
funny.
you?
I
What about you,
I
Sister
I
Joy?
actually have a range, okay? So, like, the perfect flow, I'll call it the perfect flow day would be maybe between 80 to 90, okay? And that's coming from a Florida native. Yes, that's the perfect because it's the sun shines out, you got your glasses on, right? You can wear your shorts, your t-shirt, right? So that's like the perfect flow day for me. Now, when you drop maybe below 80 degrees, that's when sometimes you might find me in like a long sleeve, maybe a hoodie.
Below 80?
79. Let's say between 70 to 79. This is from
70 to 79. I understand because you can have like your waffle material, like not thermal, but
yes.
it's just like an extra skin layer.
Okay. Yes. See, that's me right there. That's the
Mhm.
Florida native in me. Okay. So
Well, I'll tell you though, when we lived in Georgia, and Georgia gets, in fact, our thoughts to our friends in Georgia because they got like 5 inches of snow
oh yes.
these last couple of days up in Atlanta, and which in 2014 during the last snowpocalypse that happened there in Georgia, which is what drove us here to Florida. I remember living up there, being able to go out, like take the trash can out in 40-degree weather,
Oh,
wearing shorts and a t-shirt back then. We're living in these colder states, that
wow.
level of resilience your body develops. I moved down to Florida, and in less than a year, when the temperatures drop down to like 60, I'm already getting a chill.
Yeah.
But I have a theory about why that is. A lot of people just say it's because you get thin-skinned when you live down here, and I don't think that's true. I don't think that's true. And for those of you that are watching right now, please back me up on this. And also, we want to know, if you're watching, in the comments, what is the temperature it takes for you to start wearing your winter clothes as well. So please throw that in the comments. But here's my theory. In Florida, we're
Okay.
also known for high humidity, right?
Oh, true.
Mhm.
Okay. Okay.
So if it's
Okay.
a wet cold versus a dry cold, a
Okay.
wet cold always feels colder.
Okay.
Mhm.
That's
Right.
that's my theory, right?
Okay,
So
recap me
if
there.
you're watching right now, back me up on the theory, and I'll send you a mug. But
You know what?
but
Now that you put it that way, I totally have to agree with you because a lot for those of you who will be visiting or have visited, that humidity does really creep up on you, whether it's in the winter time or even in our springtime. You don't realize how heavy that humidity could feel. But yeah, actually, I do
yeah,
agree
so
with
that's the way I'm defending my thin skin.
you. Okay.
is
Oh
that
my goodness.
the winters here feel a little more harsh. So 40 degrees
Hmm.
here in Florida feels probably more like 30 in
Okay.
other places, only because it's a wet cold.
Okay. All right.
So
So
and
that
that's my
explains
story, and
like
I'm
my range, right? This
right.
between like 60 degree, like right under 70 degrees. You'll see me and like snow cap,
Yeah, that's because
mittens,
it's really only
scarf,
it feels like 40. That's why.
and yeah,
So
and anything below 60, y'all, that's a snow day. That's a flow snow day.
yeah, we close the schools here. We
No, we're
our
not.
our winter snow days or anything below 60, 50 degrees.
There you go.
Oh, this is going to make us sound like such wimps to the rest of the country. You know that this but we obviously we moved here for a reason. We enjoy the warmer weathers, but you get the winter months down here start around, I'd say, October, right?
Yeah,
October is when
that time.
fall hits. November.
It does, but it's like a wave. I mean, you can't get away
Yeah.
from the waves around here in Florida. But yeah, even the weather is a wave because sometimes you'll have those days that, oh, okay, it's a nice 70. And then again, by afternoon or the next day, you get a nice 75, a nice 80, and then it dips again. But
Well, what's interesting too is that down here, I think we're all so focused, especially this past year, of course, with hurricane season ending, right?
yeah.
Hurricane season ends the end of November, so we're like winter can come and
Yeah,
show up, but everybody's just celebrating the fact that hurricane season is over,
it's
and
over.
then now we're looking forward to the winter months. But the winters down here, they do start around that time frame. November is when it starts to feel a little colder. I think our worst months here are probably worst, like 50 degrees.
You
Uh,
truly are transplant.
I've become my skin has gotten so thin. I think it's like the January, February
Hmm.
timeframes, right? Because
Hmm.
and actually it's going to be one of our questions here later on for one of our how well do you know Florida questions that we're going to be asking in a little bit. Again, for some swag, INCRadio swag, we're compiling all of those answers, even the ones from last week. So if you're on,
Yep.
please stick around because we're going to be doing another series of questions, and we're compiling those answers. And at the end of the month, the person who has the most points is going to be getting some INCRadio Florida
You
Sunshine
heard it.
State swag, right?
There you go.
Um, Now, what do we do when the temperatures start to drop? Because you come to Florida because you want to go to the beach, you
Hmm.
want to swim in your pool at your hotel, you want to go through the springs and be able to walk around in your shorts. But so in the months of December and January, Sister Audrey, what are some of the activities that you can do here in Florida?
Well, so December can still be pretty warm, right? Especially for everyone that is trying to bundle up in their winter pajamas when when we can't wear jackets. But yeah, it can still be pretty warm. So there during the December month, you can go out for a walk still. Like here in Tampa, we have a beautiful river walk going through downtown. It's a wonderful place to take out the family,
Oh, beautiful.
while still getting a cool breeze in the evening. However, when like what Brother Robert mentioned, January is actually the coldest I can get here in Florida, as I'm sure it can be in the rest of the country too. But this is manatee season. I mean, hordes of manatees will go
Yeah.
to the spring. I don't recommend going to the springs because they're cold year round. So do not go in them. But you can still kayak, and you can they have clear bottom kayaks now, so that you can
Oh, yeah.
see you can still see, because the clarity of the springs doesn't change. It is clear year round. But the difference is you will see families and bundles and herds of manatees, because this is where they migrate to stay warm.
Right.
And it's baby manatee season. So you may see smaller boulders next to the bigger boulders in the spring.
It's
You know
sweet.
what do we call baby manatees?
What?
You know what?
Kids? No, is it kids? Calves.
Calves. There you go.
Right?
Sister
But
Audrey was thinking I
cows.
was setting her up for a joke. It wasn't a
I
joke.
did. I thought
It's a
it was
calf.
joke.
It's a calf. It's a quiz. It's a calf. No, and for our viewers that don't know, manatees are basically what we love to call our adorable sea cows down here in Florida. They are the gentlest creatures that you'll ever encounter. And if you come down here and you see them, like Sister Audrey says, in the water, they just look like boulders. And you're gonna be paddling your way there, and then don't get shocked when that boulder starts to move, because they're very slow moving creatures, and they're just the gentlest, most adorable looking sea creatures or river creatures you'll encounter down here. But this is manatee season, because a lot of the manatees are moving inland towards the warmer areas of the water to try to stay warm, and it's a great time to be able to view them. So that's a great activity.
I would just avoid going to southern Florida, where there's an abundance of iguanas, because once the temperature drops, and I'm not sure exactly the threshold, but because iguanas are cold-blooded, they'll adapt to whatever the temperature is. So the sad part of the season is, because it gets so cold outside what Miami is usually like, they will fall from they will just fall from the trees, which I'm sorry, Brother Robert, I think I just spoiled one of the questions. But I just got so excited, because that is such a unique thing about Florida. Iguanas falling from trees. And it sounds funny, but it's so sad. So just beware.
It's kind of scary though.
Yeah, we're gonna consider that a bonus question. It's a giveaway. Well, and because you've got falling leaves in other parts of the country, so we've got to have stuff that falls too. It can't just be. Florida has to have stuff that falls.
There you go.
But I think one of the key things too, because we do get winters, a lot of people love their plants, right? They put their plants out, they have their trees, they have their flowers and everything else that's there. You've got to be aware that when the temperatures here in those months of December and January and February, they start to fall, you are going to get months where you get close to freezing. And if you have plants, and this is when I miss our beloved Farmer Jim, because he could tell us exactly what plants,
he
but
certainly would.
well, all of mine are plastic anyway, so it doesn't matter. Artificial plants do really, really well in the wintertime, but you've got to be sure to be careful and cover those plants, especially because we do get a frost. we do get a frost here, especially in those colder months. Well, we've got 5 minutes left, and I want to get to our questions, so this way we can help our audience. So let's go jump to that right away. And remember, the way that this works, if you are going to be joining us in the chat and you're going to answer these, be sure that you're putting in the corresponding letter for the question. So the first question that we have is, what is the average temperature annually in the state of Florida? What is the average temperature annually in the state of Florida? And that means obviously an average, right? So it's A, 67 degrees, B, 73 degrees, C, 81 degrees, or D, 55 degrees. What is the average temperature in the state of Florida?
And that's in Fahrenheit, by the way.
Answers. Do we have anybody?
Fahrenheit.
Yes, in Fahrenheit. Oh, yeah, because if that
For
was
all our
Celsius, we'd all
international.
be if that were Celsius, we'd all be in trouble. So in Fahrenheit, tell us, what is the average temperature? Is it A, 67, B, 73, C, 81, or D, 85 degrees? Okay. All right. Moving on to the next question.
In the chat, we got a lot of answers coming in.
Already? All right. Nice job.
Let's
All right. Let's move on to the next question.
Okay.
Next question. Which Florida city had the last recorded snowfall? Which Florida city had the last recorded snowfall? Not Not that it's had a snowfall, but which one was the latest or the last snowfall? E, Jacksonville, Florida, F, Pensacola, G, Tallahassee, or H, my hometown, Tampa, Florida? Which of these cities had the last recorded snowfall? Is it E, Jacksonville, F, Pensacola, G, Tallahassee, or H, my hometown of Tampa? All right, we've got people in there answering. Just go ahead and throw them in there, and we'll
Let's
give you
see.
guys the answer there in just a moment. Okay, next question. This is the reason we live in Florida, because we wanted to avoid living in one of these cities. So, which city is the snowiest city in America? What city is the snowiest city, meaning that they have the most accumulated snow annually? Is it Boulder, Colorado? I, J, Chicago, Illinois, K, Syracuse, New York, or L, Green Bay, Wisconsin? Which city is the snowiest in America? Boulder, Colorado, Chicago, Illinois, Syracuse, New York, or Green Bay, Wisconsin? So let's see if we've got folks here that are answering those questions for the snowiest city in America. And I think we've got one last question here before we go through and run the answers. And that is, this is called our bonus question.
Well, let's
Our
see
bonus
if you were
question.
paying attention to earlier in the show.
There you go.
When the temperatures drop to the mid 40s, what falls from the trees in Florida? Is it M, coconuts? Is it N, iguanas? O, palm tree leaves? Or P, monkeys? What falls from the trees when the temperature drops to the mid 40s? Is it M, coconuts, N, iguanas, O, palm tree leaves, or P, monkeys? All right.
Extra bonus points if you can explain why.
Oh, there you
Yeah,
go.
exactly. So now we're going to go back and just really quickly give you guys the answers. We've got answers that we've already accumulated. Oh, and I almost lost my microphone here. So we have, what's the average temperature annually in Florida? And that is B, 73 degrees. So if you answer
Oh,
73
good job to
degrees,
all of our viewers out
nice
there.
job.
Good job.
What city in Florida had the last recorded snowfall? It's actually F, Pensacola. That was in December of 2014. Before that, it was actually Jacksonville, 1989. H, Tampa had it in 1977 was the last snowfall. And then the next question we had was, what is the snowiest city in America? If you answered K, Syracuse, New York, you won. So K, Syracuse, New York. And then for the last question, if you guys got this wrong, then it's just really sad, because you literally got the answer, right? Literally got the answer. The answer is N, iguanas fall from trees when the temperature drops to the mid 40s. The reason for that is because Sister Audrey gave you the answer. That's the reason they fall from trees. All right. Well, we are at the bottom of the hour, top of the hour. We've got our friends over at INCRadio South Central States that are coming up next. They're going to be starting here in just a minute. But for now, this is Brother Robert here in chilly Tampa, Florida, for Sister Audrey, also in chilly Tampa, Florida, and Sister Joy there in the central part of Florida in Orlando, where it's also chilly.
It's also
We wish you
chilly.
guys a happy Saturday, and we'll see you next week here on the Sunshine State.